take some time to discuss our COVID cases and what's going on with COVID in Oakland County. I'll be sharing my screen, Sarah, if you allow me to share my screen while Sarah Cummings shares the status of our COVID report. Sarah Cummings, are you here?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Let me just try to share my screen.
Can you share it? Yep.
I'm trying right now. I'm looking. All right. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Sarah.
Okay, so the cases in the first column, that's from our last board meeting. And then on the right column, those are the latest figures we have from the Oakland County Health Department from last Thursday that those were released. So there's been quite an increase. You can see at the top there, total confirmed and probable cases went from 3,700 up to 9,500. Cases a day per million from 261 up to 525. The 14-day average daily case counts from 270 up to 680. The 14-day average daily death count from 0.5 down to 2.21. The average tests per day have gone way up from about 5,000 up to 7,000. The percentage of confirmed probable cases that are hospitalized, thankfully that's gone down to 2.03 to 1.2. Percent positivity has gone up quite a bit from 8.57 to 13.3. Healthcare capacity, it's below capacity, but it's trending up. So the beds are filling up. And you've probably heard today during Governor Whitmer's talk that the hospital CEOs they all asked her to extend because beds are being taken up. We're still in the county level risk of an E. So the total cases by age group went from 58 up to 81 for 0 to 4-year-olds. You can see for all of them, the numbers have gone up, especially the teenagers from 256 up to 431. The good thing about these numbers though,
That's right.
the ones from the week before, November 18th to 12/1, those numbers were even higher. So we are coming down, everybody staying at home. Thankfully, we're seeing those numbers decrease. So even though these numbers are up from where they were last board meeting, they're less than what they were a week ago. So that trend is in the right direction.
And if you, Sarah, can you talk a little bit about what the governor discussed today in her orders?
Yep, so she is going to extend the stay-at-home orders until December 20th. Everything's going to stay the same for now. And then they're going to reevaluate December 20th. So it's like 12 more days.
And she also spoke about the Thanksgiving impact. It has not been realized yet.
Yeah, we still have another week to go before we figure out if those numbers are going to go up from people being together over the Thanksgiving break. Still haven't quite really had enough time yet to see what the impact is going to be.
Trustees, do you have any questions about this COVID report?
Excuse me, Mr. Abdullahi, this is Beth Scott. I have a question. Is there any way that you can share the governor's executive order in regards to this? Because I know that there was a report about, in her report, she stated some children that she felt could go back to school. I wanted to see that report, if possible.
I would have to find the, all I got was an email from K-12, I don't think I gotten the executive order finalized yet.
Mr. Abdullah,
Yes,
this is Barbara. I listened to the report, what she spoke about, and I don't have the report, Beth, but I can tell you the gist of what I heard. She spoke about it would be really advantageous, of course, to get the kids back in school as soon as we can, because it's so important for them to get back to their education. But then someone asked, and I don't know if it was a reporter, somebody asked about sports, and the response from the governor was, we've got to get the kids back in the classroom safely. And then after that, sports would come secondary. That the focus would be getting the kids back in the classroom safely, but there was no commitment or no timeline as to when they thought that might happen. And I think she spoke specifically, it was about high school, Beth, as I recall, but I don't have the report. If I can find it, I'll send it to
I
her.
have it. I see it. It's extensive, but I could talk about,
If you could just, Mr. Abdullah, excuse me,
Yeah.
if you could just share that portion about K through 8th grade, I think it
Okay.
was.
So that was section 5. It says schools. Actually, let me share my screen and then I'll be happy to read it too while I'm sharing my screen.
Thank you.
Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay. So again, this is from the gathering. This is the Michigan.gov website. If you scroll down here to section 5 under subsection 5 under 10A, schools, colleges, technical schools, universities. Gathering at public and non-public schools for the purposes of conducting in-person instruction, sports, extracurricular activities. Let me just close this part. Activities serving pupils in grades 9 through 12 are prohibited. So she's saying in-person instruction, sports, and extracurricular activities in grades 9 through 12 are prohibited, except for in-person instruction of pupils who are English language learners or participants in special education services, or as provided in section 5D and 5G. Is that the specific portion you want me to speak to, Beth, or would
It
you
was
like me to read
it was what she had stated about the K through 8th grade.
Okay.
I don't
Gathering, I don't see that in here.
I don't recall that being talked about today.
I didn't see K8. I don't think she's, let me see. Oh, right here. Under B, gathering at public and non-public schools for the purposes of conducting in-person instruction of pupils in pre-kindergarten, which is our GSRP,
Right.
through grade 8 are permitted, subject to local health department and school district decisions on remote learning. Gatherings for the purposes of sports and extracurricular activities are prohibited.
Thank you.
Yep, and this is why we have to every month visit our remote learning. Again, we're still in the E, but in grades K through pre-K through 8, she is allowing some flexibility. And if you see in the agenda, I am seeking some flexibility in our ECSC program at this time, but you'll see that later on in the agenda.
But nothing through K through 8, correct?
ECSC is before pre-K, but yeah, at this point, given that we have 10 days before we go on winter break, it is really not conducive to return to learn for 10 days. Parents do need to prepare for returning in person. And right now, given that we go on winter break on December 18th, it's really not conducive for grades GSRP, which is pre-K to grades 8. But it is permittable. It is allowed if the board does take action on that. Any other questions regarding COVID report with Sarah Cummings? All right, next I have a care presentation that I would like to share. This is something that we are implementing in our district, and this is new. So I'd like to share this with the board. Can you see this PowerPoint slide? Are you able to see this?
Yes.
Yes.
So this program is called CARE. It's Work-Life Solutions. It's an employee assistance program. It's also a crisis intervention program, and also it deals with social emotional supports for our employees. If you recall, either last year or the year before, where Fitzgerald had that crisis with that student assault that occurred in school. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
It was a murder.
Okay, so CARE was called into the scene to provide students with crisis support. This is the same program, but this also helps employees. So I just want to go through this employee assistance program. And I do want to give credit to Jamie Thiel for introducing this. This is, he brought this to my attention regarding this employee assistance. So EAP is not only for our employees, but also our students when we have a crisis, but also the dependents of our employees. It's a confidential employee resource, problem-solving counseling sessions, guidance and goal setting for individuals. It's convenient. It's absolutely free. Anytime an employee needs to access this for addiction, crisis, social emotional behaviors, it's absolutely free and confidential. This is a little bit about their numbers. It was founded in 1977. How many people they serve annually. It is a nonprofit, so it's a very minimal cost to us. And it is a licensed program by the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs. It's also known as LAURA. It also deals with substance abuse treatments and services. It is certified employees, assistance professional, and substance abuse professionals are on staff. They have a 24-hour hotline support by CARE staff. And it talks about prevention. It talks about a crisis that occurs if we have a crisis in the district. And it also talks about resolutions, ways to remedy the situation. This is a little bit of their programs they utilize and review reports. They provide technical assistance for us. They also provide referrals. If they themselves cannot help the individual employee or the family member, they do provide support. And they have training and development. Hypothetically, if we have some employees that need certain training, it is a no-cost recommendation to the district. So hypothetically, if we have an employee that is hypothetically needs assistance with substance abuse, then we could provide this resource to them at no cost to the employee or their family members. We are also able to provide referrals if we see or if we identify an employee that might have a pattern that might need some assistance. We could also make a referral to CARE, and it's completely confidential. This is not punitive. This is not you got in trouble and you need assistance. This is how can we help you get through this crisis that you have in your life. We see a huge increase and I'm sure you're familiar with this. You'll see reports. Substance abuse is on the rise. social emotional behaviors and concerns. Suicide is on the rise. This is a way to deal with this. We don't claim that we'll have all the answers, but we're trying to provide as many resources and services to employees and their family members during this pandemic as possible. Again, we talked about crisis, whether it's the loss of a loved one. Right now, if we have a student or an employee who loses someone to COVID-19, we are not the professionals, but we can in turn refer them to professionals to help them get through this. It's a simple form that we filed. This is just a sample of the form. And Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, the cost to the district for the whole district is $2,500. Is that correct, Jamie?
It's 2,800, but then they prorated the month of November, so it's around like 2,600 for this year.
$2,600.
Yeah.
So $2,600 for the year to provide this support system for the entire district and their dependents. This is new. We think is needed, and we really think that it would be welcome. It's just another support system that we could provide during this pandemic for families. Again, they specialize in crisis support. Again, like Fitzgerald had that crisis, they had people on the scene within hours. So God forbid there is a crisis, then we have a support system in place ready to roll out. This is a little bit about their website. Just some screenshots of logins and some of the other support systems. Trustees, do you have any questions for us regarding this program?
I do.
No. Sounds good.
Mr. Abdullah, this is Beth Scott.
Yeah.
I do. Do we have this for the families and students?
So we do have it for students with a crisis. If there's a crisis, we absolutely have that in place.
Is that care to as well?
Yeah. Oh, actually, for the care, I believe, Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, the care is for the employees and their dependents. The crisis is for the entire district, correct?
Correct, yeah.
All right. Does that answer your question, Beth?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just another, to be honest, whether people believe in this COVID pandemic or not, it is a serious pandemic. It is really scary, and it really is impacting families. It's impacting them economically, socially, emotionally, academically, and we are just trying to stop the loss. And we don't claim that we have all the answers, but we're trying to put as many things in place to help families get through this pandemic. Again, credit goes to Jamie on this. This is I really liked it when he pitched that idea. I think the more programs that we have to provide support for families, the better off we are.
All right, we're concluded with that. Let's move to public fundamentals, public comments. Sarah, how many people do we have?
Mr. Kimball, I still
Yeah.
have one more piece for my superintendent's report.
All right, go ahead.
A few months ago, we talked about air quality. I had addressed some mold at the high school. We did some extensive testing. I want to share the summary report of that. We already started remediation. The damage was not as bad as we thought initially, but we had IAQ do an assessment. So I would like to share the screen with that. just to talk about, again, this is from IAQ. This is what they're recommending to us. Fungal air test results identified no less than minor fungal elevation in room H105. Room H105 was a room that was transformed into an office area when Keys Grace Academy was at the high school. This was additions added to the high school when Keys moved in. That is their major concern there. So it said, after containing the work area, the following should be removed, and he prioritized them for us. Remove all water damaged ceiling tiles in room H105. Walls, remove all walls from 2 inches in height. So what we're doing is we're removing all the walls. Flooring, remove the laminated floor tiles at the northwest quadrant of the room and detach the base cabinets. Again, this room has never been occupied by students. This was an office area by Keith Grace Academy. And since they moved out, it's been a storage room for us. Next area of concern is room C103. The ceiling, remove the deteriorated portion of the gypsum roof decking located along the east side wall. If removal of the roof decking is not immediately possible, then use HEPA vacuum to the affected material and remove the, I don't even know how to say that, cellulosic surface material. And then remove the east side quarter of the south wall. In the boiler room area, remove the deteriorated portion of the gypsum roofing decking located at multiple locations. If removal of the roof decking is not immediately possible, then use HEPA vacuum to the affected material and remove the cellulosic surface material. Next would be room A101. That is by the band room and music room. There's plaster that is a lower ceiling plaster. They're recommending that we remove that plaster, cut it all out, remove it, and repaint it. And then there's a carpet area in the band room that they're also asking us to remove. They also said that there is the acceptable air quality. There's no concerns with air quality. So our initial assessment, black mold, I think maybe that was an overreach, but we are working on all the recommendations. We will provide the board with all the results once we, not the results, but the completed work once it's done. We already started the work on remediation. Any questions here, trustees?
I do, Mr. Abdullah. This is Beth Scott.
Yes.
Last month I asked that you send us a copy of that report. Will you send a copy of that report to the board members, please?
I already sent the copy of the IAQ report, but I will send it again. I sent it, I already sent it once, but I will be happy to send it again.
What date was that you sent? Do you recall?
I would have to look. I think it was in my weekly update, but I will be happy to send it again.
Okay, it would be the actual report from the company?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, that is it for my report.
Okay, thank you. Let's move to public fundamentals with public comments. Sarah, how many people do we have?
I have one at the moment. Mr.
Okay.
Tom Smith.
All right, Mr. Smith, go ahead.
I'm Tom Smith. I understand that the 2020 financial statements will show an improvement in the district's fund balance. I want to commend the majority of the board and the administration who have worked together to promote good fiscal practices and responsibility in managing the district's resources. I think you've set an improved standard that can be built on to serve the community now and in the future. Extra kudos too for working through the additional challenges brought by COVID-19. I'd like to thank a couple of the outgoing trustees for your service. You know who you are. I've seen you take on financial problems and work with the board majority to make necessary changes that have improved the district. You've done this in spite of disruptions and challenges from certain trustees and members of the public. You leave the district in much better shape than when you got here. These jobs are challenging and a substantial commitment. You've done them well. Thanks again. That's all I have. Thanks
All
for
right,
your.
thank you, Mr. Smith. And if that's it, let's move on to the Board of Education items.
There's another one. Mr.
Okay,
Beaver.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Beaver.
Good evening. I just wanted to say, give a huge shout out to our district teachers and staff. Although being virtual isn't ideal and it's not what anyone wanted or wants right now, but it has gone extremely well for my family. When schools closed in March, our biggest fear with our kids was that they would fall behind academically. But we just finished up the first quarter and all of my kids made the honor roll. I even have one that made National Honor Society at the high school. Not only did they do amazing on the report cards, but they also scored above average on their NWEAs and beginning of the year assessments. Not only do I come from a big family, but I have a big family. My nephew, I have a nephew that's in Madison District, but we have nieces and nephews spread out across everywhere in Utica, Rochester, Warren, Madison Heights. And our district has done a great job in our virtual learning. I know that I've had my sister-in-law and brother-in-law have had to pull their kids from their school because of lack of support on the virtual side. Teachers aren't available to take questions. So they've actually had to pull their kids to homeschool them, and our teachers have done a phenomenal job of as being there. I appreciate all of the collaboration between the admins, having the virtual schedule pretty much being identical at all three grade levels. Elementary, high school, middle school has been huge. When we've got 5 students that are all on the same schedule, it makes it great to try to keep them on pace at home. So thank you, teachers, admin, and staff, for your hard work and diligence and keeping this thing flowing as smooth as you possibly can. It has made it, it's made it nice with the situation that nobody wants. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beaver. And does that conclude it, Sarah? Do we have anyone else?
There's no more at the moment.
All right, then let's move on to Board of Education action items. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the proposed minutes from the 11/9/2020 regular board meeting. Does someone have this motion?
Mr. President, I'll take the motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Ott. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Holcomb, discussion.
I have a question. I'll be abstaining from this because I wasn't at this meeting. But I'd like to ask Mr. Abdulahad. Mr. Abdulahad, the November meeting is not posted online.
The minutes are posted online.
The video.
Right. The video is not posted online. Okay. Noted.
Were you aware of that?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Is there a reason why it didn't go up yet?
No, there's no reason. I'm sure we'll have it up.
Okay, because I would have loved to have watched the video of the meeting since I had to miss it.
We did put the unofficial minutes up, so you could also reference the minutes.
I did, but the video would have been a little bit more helpful, especially
Sure.
to families that look forward to that, the ones that are currently working. But is there a protocol in place? Like how many days will it take to get for the meetings to get the videos to get posted online? Is there a protocol that we have?
So legally, we don't have to post the videos online. Just to be clear, correct? You agree with that?
I agree with that, but
And we have the minutes up, and we follow protocols there.
Okay.
And again, I would recommend to this board that if you want certain protocols in place that you take action on those protocols, and then we would adhere to those action.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
All right, anybody else? No? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Holcomb,
Yes.
Ms. Castle,
Yes.
Mr. Kimball,
Yes.
Mrs. Ott,
Yes.
Mr. Pittman,
Yes.
Ms. Scott,
I'm abstaining.
Mrs. Thompson.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, the next item is revisit the COVID-19 learning plan. It's recommended that the Board of Education continue remote learning for all students through the end of the first semester, January 29th, 2021, and authorize Mr. Abdulahad the flexibility to introduce hybrid learning for our ECSE students. Does someone have that motion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Holcomb, thank you.
I have
Do I
a
have a
motion.
second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Ms. Castle. Discussion. Anybody? No? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Pittman,
Yes.
Ms. Scott,
No.
Mrs. Ott,
Yes.
Ms. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Holcomb,
Yes.
Mr. Kimball.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-1.
All right, next item is Delta Network switches. Recommended that the Board of Education approve the additional cost to complete the upgrade of the remainder of the old switches, as well as add additional wireless access points. Does someone have this motion, or do we need some definition of this from Mr. Abdulahad?
This is just to complete our network upgrade. If you're aware that we took action on this, moving to Fiber One, our switches need upgrading. We do get E-rate reimbursements on this, but we do have to get board approval, anything over $10,000. So this is why we're presenting this to the board.
Okay. Any other discussion? No? Roll call vote, please.
Nobody took the motion.
We need to make a motion.
I did make the motion. Someone's got to take the motion. Someone will take this motion?
I'll take the motion.
Oh,
Beth
go ahead.
Scott.
Go ahead, Ms. Scott.
I'll take the motion. This is Beth Scott.
All right, anyone second?
I'll second the motion.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Ott. Now discussion. I will say that this is crucial with the fiber optic network we have now, and switches do wear out over time. And the more remote access is going to get better coverage to the building. So I think this is an absolutely must that we have to do, especially with the reimbursement we get.
Yes.
Anybody else? No? Okay, roll call vote now.
Mrs. Ott,
Yes.
Ms. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson,
Yes.
Ms. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Holcomb,
Yes.
Mr. Pittman,
Yes.
Mr. Kimball.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, the next item is, it's recommended the Board of Education approve the purchase of the pre-bidded items to replace equipment at the high school for $20,000, $988, $20,988. Will someone take this motion?
I'll take the motion. This is Beth Scott.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. Second, anybody?
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Ms. Castle. Discussion. No?
Mr. President, I'm sorry.
Yes. Mrs. Ott?
Did Kat go for this grant for the
Yeah,
food service?
she applied for it and she was awarded $25,000. But again, we're presenting it because those are the protocols. And so we are just presenting everything that we're doing to this board to take action on. Although we did get the grant, we are just seeking your approval.
And this is no cost to the district.
That is correct.
All right, that answers my question as well. Any other discussion? Okay, can we move to a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Holcomb,
Yes.
Ms. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Kimball,
Yes.
Mr. Pittman,
Yes.
Ms. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Lot.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Next item, it's recommended the Board of Education approve the employment agreement for Dr. Hill as presented in your package. Will someone take this motion?
I'll take
I'll
that.
take it.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Thompson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Ms. Castle. Discussion.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Pittman.
so I believe that Miss Trustee Scott requested a copy of or Dr. Hill's current contract. The last one I have is from when she was first hired. So is she still under, is the contract still current or still, when does her current contract end?
Her current contract has ended and she's operating without a contract, and we're presenting a new contract to this board.
Okay, is there a reason that we didn't get, when, like I said, Miss Trustee Scott requested a copy of her contract and there was no reply?
I don't have a request from Ms. Scott requesting Dr. Hill's employment contract. I've been responding to emails, but I
disagree.
I believe you have a copy of the contract, correct, Mr. Pittman? Because you did forward it to the Treasury Department. So I believe you do have a copy
No,
of
I did
it.
not forward it to the Treasury Department.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't have an
I
email.
have one
Beth,
from the
Beth, when did you-
previous year. I just,
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's the only
one.
contract I have.
That's the only contract we got, Mr. Pittman, for Dr. Hill. The only one is when we initially hired her. She's
Okay,
not had
so-
another contract.
so why couldn't you respond to the email from Trustee Scott that you don't, there isn't one?
When did she email me?
All right, I will look it up.
Beth, can you tell me when you
Yep,
emailed
she can
me?
tell you, yeah.
Well, okay, so I don't have my email on my computer, the school
I
email.
do.
But I did, Mr. Abdullah had sent you an email the day that you sent out the board about the board packets, I believe. I think it was December 3rd or December 4th, but I also blind copied Mr. Pittman.
Okay, I am looking at your December 3rd email, and you're requesting C&G information.
It's on that same.
Keep
email.
reading the last
It's on the-
sentence.
Oh, okay. You're right. You are right. I did not see that. Please provide a I did not see that. I apologize, Mr. Pittman. I did not see that because I did provide all the other information. You are correct, Mr. Pittman. I apologize for that. I did not see that at the bottom, Ms. Scott. But you do have it now. You do have the current, the new proposal in front of you, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I
I
did, but
apologize.
I wanted to see the old I wanted to see her other contract. And I don't know to what details we can discuss this in open session. Can we discuss this contract in open session?
No.
Only with permission with Dr. Hill, and she's shaking her head no. So therefore you cannot discuss this in open session.
Okay, I would like to add that when her contract was first approved, it was in the board package that I believe you have access to board books, that this could have been looked up as well.
Well, yeah, but we did not know that she didn't have a new contract because this one ended in June.
Right.
We voted on an extension of the contract though,
Right.
prior to June.
If you would have had a new contract, it would have to be presented to you. And we've never presented a new contract to this board or a contract renewal. So we were still operating under the old one. And I do want to say I'm very pleased with the performance of Dr. Hill.
Thank you.
And so she has my full confidence.
Okay, anything else? No? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Pittman,
No.
Ms. Scott,
No.
Mr. Holcomb,
Yes.
Mr. Kimball,
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ott,
Yes.
Ms. Castle,
Yes.
Motion carries 5-2.
All right, next item is the human resources. It is recommended, Board of Education approve the layoff, the support staff employees outlined in the administrative comments above in the attached resolution. Does someone have this motion?
I'll take the motion.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Thompson. Second,
I'll
Mr.
take it.
President,
all right, thank you, Mrs. Ott. Discussion. I think this has to do with the COVID.
We just have some
Remote learning,
idle, yeah, we just have some idle employees now that the board took action last month. That's all.
Okay. All right, if there's any other discussion?
Mr. President, could you read the motion or the action requested one more time, the motion?
The motion is recommended the Board of Education approve the layoff of the support staff employees outlined in the administrative comments above in the attached resolution. We have Terry Field, the bus driver, Derek Glenn, bus driver, Tamarack Hicks, bus driver, Kathleen Segal, food service, and Sharon Black, paraprofessional.
Mr. President, so these are idle employees. I guess I should ask Mr. Abdullahad.
Correct. I believe there were idle employees due to remote learning, going back to remote learning. Mr. Abdullah, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, correct. And with transportation, we did attempt to offer some, and some did accept, Mr. Pittman, to do meal deliveries using transportation. We're just trying to provide as much, hours for employees. So some did accept, some we couldn't provide hours for, and some declined. So we are required to present that list to you, and that's what you have in front of you.
So our school nurse is on a contract. What exactly does her day consist of now without student?
So, well, for example, we had a situation that required our school nurse to respond. Just because we are remote does not mean we don't have employees or families that are reporting situations to us. And we also do our COVID reports to the board every month. And so, although we might be remote, it is crucial that we have a school nurse on staff, Mr. Pittman, especially in the middle of a pandemic.
Right. We have staff.
I'm just asking.
Right. So here's an example. We had a employee notify us today, I believe that was today, right, Jamie? We needed guidance. We needed medical guidance. We are not the medical experts.
Mm-hmm.
And so we actually, Mr. Pittman, just for the record, she was actually willing to take a layoff, but we requested that she remain on staff because we needed her. So this is not like she's idle. We have a need for medical professionals, especially during a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
All right, is there anything else? No? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Holcomb,
Yes.
Mr. Pittman,
Yes.
Ms. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ott,
yes.
Mr. Kimball.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, next item, it's recommended that the Board of Education accept the personnel report for Madison District Public Schools as presented. It would appear that there is no action items on the resolution. Does someone take this motion, please?
I'll take the motion, Chair. If you could also read the assignments and the list. Yes, please.
There is none. It's blank.
You should have a list,
There
Mr.
is,
Kimball.
there is a new,
I'm looking right at the personnel report as presented. There's nothing
It's
on
a,
this.
it's a page, Mr. Kimball.
Yeah, go to the
There's a
next.
there's a second page, Mr. Kimball.
Second and third.
My second page goes to the check register.
The second page, I believe, talks about the promotions, right? That you don't have the HR report?
Missing.
Mr. Abdulahad, if I may, the first page, which I think you're referring to, has the new hire of Emily Byrne, early on coordinator. And then it goes to the promotions and reassignments on the second page, which
Well,
is
I
Stacy
apologize.
Colley.
This is missing from my
Okay.
package.
Well, would you allow Mr. Pittman to just name them off? Because right
Yeah,
there.
absolutely, if he doesn't mind.
Yep.
Sure.
It's page 32 and page 33. So 33 has the Emily Byrne, early on coordinator at the Early Childhood Center. Page 34 has Stacy Colley, promotion from Dean of Students to Assistant Principal at Madison High School. Felicia Hemingway, promotion from Dean of Students to Assistant Principal at Madison Elementary. And then the four that were mentioned earlier, five, 3 bus drivers, a food service, and a paraprofessional.
Thank you, Mr. Pittman.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Pitt. Mine jumps from page 32 to 35. So.
Mr. President,
Yes.
before we go any further, Mrs. Scott took the motion. Who seconded that motion? I missed that.
No one seconded yet.
Okay.
Can we get a second?
I'll make it. I'll take the second.
All right, Castle, thank you. Now discussion.
I just thought I overlooked it. Sorry. Thank you.
Anybody?
So I just have one question regarding the promotions from Dean of Students to Assistant Principal. I have no issue with that. I'm just curious if we will be refilling the Dean of Students position, or if that's going away and we're just going to have an assistant principal.
You are correct. We are not looking to refill those positions at all.
Okay, all right.
All right.
I have a question. I do have some questions.
All right, Ms. Scott, you have the floor. Go ahead.
Okay, so do they currently have contracts right now that are expiring?
No, they're in the collective bargaining agreement that you ratified last month.
Okay, so there's going to be no pay raise involved or no.
That's not what I said. I said there's no individual contracts. They're in a CBA, collective bargaining agreement.
Mhm.
So in the collective bargaining agreement, there are pay increases and step increases and benefits of that nature. So yeah, as they're moving from one role to another, there is a pay increase, but it's already ratified by the Board of Education and was done the month of November.
Okay, so my next question is, why would we be making this change now when students aren't in the building? Why is it necessary to make this change right at this moment?
I honestly think working with them, Ms. Scott, if you see the amount of work that it takes, both ladies have sacrificed the entire summer to work alongside this whole remote learning. I just want to be clear. This didn't just come about just on a whim. We spent months on preparation, and some trustee elects were on that committee. You were on that committee with me. We spent hundreds of hours in preparation. They sacrificed months and months of time to ensure that you heard it from a parent, that we are in a good place in our remote learning for families. We've not gotten a lot of negative feedback on a remote learning plan. Well, this wasn't just me just coming up with something. This was a collaborative effort. I absolutely believe and stand behind the promotion of Stacy and Felicia. They are, I really think that we are lucky to have them. I'll just say that we are lucky to have them. They're not lucky to have us. We are lucky to employ these two individuals. And I couldn't stand behind and not promote, right? We believe in promoting within, right? Everything that we preach is about family unity. and we promote from within. And so to me, the pandemic and how they're handling this pandemic is bar none the best. And I stand behind that recommendation.
All right, anyone else? Okay, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Thompson,
Yes.
Miss Castle,
Yes.
Mr. Holcomb,
Yes.
Miss Scott,
No,
Mr. Pittman,
Yes.
Mr. Kimball,
Yes.
Mrs. Ott.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-1.
All right, now we move to the business office. It is recommended the Board of Education approves the monthly expenditures totaling $1,051,637. Will someone take that motion, please?
I'll take the motion.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second?
Mr. President,
Scott, I'll take the second motion.
All right, thank you, Ms. Scott. Discussion.
I have a question. Mr. Abdulhad, I do know that you responded to me in this email in regards to the CNG. There's there's, I think, 6 items on this check registry. And Mr. Abdulhad did answer it. I had questioned why we were paying invoices for CNG from July and August, and then also Clark Hill from August. And Mr. Abdullah did reply back saying that we now have Miss Joanne Klobuchar paying the bills. So
Accounts payable. Doing
payable.
yeah.
So Joanne Klobuchar is the accounts payable person.
She's taken on that role. Yeah. She's absorbed some of those responsibilities.
Okay, so we going forward, we should not see any invoices that would be from August or July that far back.
Right.
Unless there was a question, unless it was
Sure.
a question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Gloria, would you agree with that? Since that.
Yes, that was a conversation I've already had.
Okay, I thought you may
Why
have.
were we paying them so late?
Okay, so that I just wanted to make sure going forward that we would, and I figured Gloria had that conversation with somebody, but I wanted to make sure that we now pinpointed that Joanne is now the accounts payable person, and she would be the one that would be paying the bills in a timely manner.
Yes.
Okay, that's all.
All right, anyone else? No, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Miss Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson,
Yes.
Miss Scott,
Yes,
Mrs. Ott,
Yes.
Mr. Kimball,
Yes.
Mr. Holcomb,
Yes.
Mr. Pittman.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, next item. We need to make a motion to go into closed session for the superintendent's evaluation. Will someone take that motion, please?
Under 8A of the Open Meetings Act, Mr.
Under 8A of the Open Meetings Act.
I'll take the motion.
All right, thank you, Mr. Holcomb. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mrs. Ott. Discussion?
Mr. President, I'm
Yes,
sorry. I just wanted to ask about section 7 here on the agenda where it says attorney-client privileged information, 8H of the OMA. What is that?
I'll be
That's-
withdrawing that, Mr. Pittman. I'll be
That's not-
withdrawing that. I'm going to
Okay.
withdraw that from the agenda. Mr. Kimball, also, if you could just let the public know that when we move to closed session, this meeting is going to continue. So let them just be there because this meeting is going to stay here while we move to closed session.
All right,
okay, and okay, so we're going into closed session to discuss this. When we come out of closed session, are we limited to, are we gonna be discussing?
You're legally, you're not allowed to discuss my performance outside closed session,
Okay.
which I requested, Ms. Scott.
Okay, so any of our notes or anything like that, those will
They'll
not,
be shared in closed session with me. And if you have concerns about my performance, that will be the time to discuss that.
okay.
So we just stay put right here and.
No, I already sent you the email on the closed session. And if you want to take a restroom break before, you haven't taken action on moving to closed session yet. But as we do, if you want to take time to go to the restroom quickly and then join the closed session, that would be the perfect time to do that as well.
Okay.
Okay, so if there's no more discussion, we just need to vote to go into closed session. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Holcomb,
Yes.
Ms. Castle,
Yes.
Mr. Kimball,
Yes.
Mrs. Ott,
Yes.
Mr. Pittman,
Yes.
Ms. Scott,
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, I sent you the email, trustees, so check your emails and then join me in that Zoom meeting.
All right, so we leave this meeting, correct?
Yep.
We'll be able to come right back in with the same one we got in originally?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yep. You'll go in the waiting room.
Okay, they might have taken a restroom break, Sarah, so they'll join us shortly.
You hear me?
Yep.
Sarah, I see Bill Pittman, Gloria Thompson, Deb Ott, they're here, they're muted.
We know when we're all in.
I'm looking at the chat right now at the participants. I see Gloria, Bill.
No Barbara yet. Here's Barbara.
I saw Mr. Pittman somewhere. I just seen it.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. 1, 4, 5, 6.
Angel,
Yes, Barb.
do you know what time we broke to go to the closed session? Sarah, do you have that?
8 o'clock.
Okay, and then we haven't come back yet, right?
No, we'll be back.
No, I'll bring us back
8
in.
o'clock straight
Once
up.
everyone's here.
Thank you.
Mr. Kimball, they're all here.
All right. Back in session as of 9:25. And I need to announce the superintendent's evaluation is highly effective, a consensus of the board.
You have to make a
Mr. President,
motion to adopt.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the overall rating of highly effective for Mr. Abdulahad's evaluation.
All right.
I'll second, Gloria. I'll second your motion,
All
Gloria.
right, Ms. Castle, thank you. Discussion. All right, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Kimball,
Yes.
Mr. Holcomb,
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson,
Yes.
Mrs. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Ott,
Yes.
Ms. Scott,
No.
Mr. Pittman.
Going to abstain.
Motion carries 5-1.
I believe in abstain is, won't you count the vote? Still? No? Okay, sorry.
Mrs. Thompson, is there another motion you want to make?
Yeah, I thought we were going to remove number 7, though, attorney-client privilege.
We haven't gotten to that.
We haven't got
Okay.
to the,
I'm going to make another amend. I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda pursuant to section 9 of the superintendent's extension of contract.
all right.
I'm sorry, can you repeat
Do we have a
that,
second?
Thompson? Can you repeat that?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda pursuant to section 9 of the superintendent's extension of contract.
I'll second it.
All right, discussion?
When did this get added to the agenda?
Being added right now, she's amending.
I'm amending.
Mr. President,
Yes.
you are approving this addition to the
We're
addition to
voting
the
on-
agenda?
We're voting on amending the agenda right now?
Okay, I mean, well, I just know in the past, you haven't even allowed it to be voted on.
No, everybody can make a motion to amend the agenda.
Yeah, all right.
It's been voted down in the past. Yeah, shake your head. All right. No discussion, then we vote. Roll call vote on amending the agenda for purposes of superintendent's contract.
Mr. Kimball,
Yes.
Mr. Pittman,
And this is for adding it. This isn't for voting on the contract?
Now this is for amending the agenda.
Okay. No.
Mr. Holcomb,
Yes.
Ms. Scott,
No,
Mrs. Thompson,
Yes.
Ms. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Zott.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-2.
All right. What motion would you like to add to the agenda, Mrs. Thompson?
She just,
To extend the contract? Is that what we're doing now?
Yes.
Well, we're
You
approving it.
wanted to add the motion.
Excuse
You don't
me,
even know what you want to add?
Excuse me, Mr. Pittman.
It's a
You're out
joke.
of order.
A
You're out
joke.
of order. You're out of order. You're a joke.
you're out of order, board president.
No.
No.
So what exactly is the motion to add or to approve the addendum to his contract extending the term?
Correct. To
All right.
extend,
I have a
Mr.
comment.
Pittman.
This, Mr. President, I'm sorry. May I
Yes,
speak?
yes.
The reason that the motion was made is because we couldn't extend his contract until after his evaluation.
That is in his contract that we review and possibly extend his contract at the conclusion of his
Evaluation. Okay.
evaluation. Yes,
Yep.
that's what.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Mr. President,
Ms.
if
Castle.
we refuse or do not take action on this, we're in breach of his contract.
correct.
Correct,
We didn't do it properly last time.
right.
I think it
That was,
because we
that was
did,
overlooked. That was an error last time, yes.
well, maybe because we didn't have the proper training or knowledge that we have now. But if we don't take action on this particular item that Gloria brought to the table, then we're breaching his contract.
Correct.
Correct. The extension, it starts at the original term, same pay, extends to June 30th. Fine.
Has anyone seconded the motion? If not, I will.
Did we have a motion yet?
Yes, Gloria just
Gloria
said it.
Gloria made the motion.
No,
Extend
you
it
made the
till-
motion and she said yes.
She made a motion to change the agenda.
Right.
Now we have to vote on
Wanna-
his contract.
Sarah, did anyone second that motion?
Yes, I did.
Ms. Ott
Okay.
just did.
All right, discussion then.
Okay, I have not seen the new contract. When did we
It
get
was
this?
emailed to you this afternoon, this evening.
Yes.
What
today?
time? What time?
5:30.
5:30?
Okay, so 5:30, and I'm expected to get this contract, look over this contract.
The contract, Ms. Scott, has not changed. This is just an addendum on extension.
Correct.
The terms of the
Okay,
contract
could,
has not
okay,
changed.
Mr. Abdullah, hold on a second.
Sure.
Could I not have comments from other board members until I grasp my head around this? Okay, so this contract was emailed to us at what time? 5:30?
About 5:30.
Correct.
Okay, 5:30. So we're supposed to absorb this information before this meeting.
Well, it's a one-page addendum. One
Okay.
page.
And when did we find out that we were in breach of his contract? When did we find this out?
I don't understand your question.
So Ms. Castle said that we're breaching his contract because if we don't do something about his contract now, we're in breach of it.
You
When
have
did
to, in
Beth,
section
I can
9,
answer
Ms.
that.
Scott.
Beth, I
Oh.
called Mr. Abdullah and asked him what would happen if we took no action on this. I wanted to be prepared to know what my responsibility was on this item. So I asked him. He told me no action would equal a breach of his contract.
And
And
when
he
was this?
brought to my attention,
President?
he did not do that last year.
Okay,
Yes,
when
Mr.
when did you bring this to Mr. Abdullah's attention?
Today, I called him. Because I have a question, which any one of you board members can do at any time. You have a question about an item.
Get me
you
out of
call
here.
And get an answer. And that's what I took upon myself to do.
Mrs. Thompson, you have the floor.
Mr. Abdullah, am I correct in saying that we had until December 20th to take action on this, or we were in breach?
So
No, it's
yeah,
on
it's,
track.
it's a regular board meeting. So the only regular board meeting in December is this one. The one on the 14th is a special board meeting for the audit report.
Correct. Okay.
We have to take,
Last year, I will say this, last year you did breach my contract. And I could have brought on legal action, but legal action would have cost the district money. And so I chose not to take action on that because we're basically hurting ourselves. And so I chose not to take action on it. And if you don't take action again, you would be in breach again of my contract.
Mr. Abdullah, excuse me, this is Beth.
Yeah.
Did you bring that to the board? That
I
you knew you were in breach?
emailed board president this summer, but again,
And board president didn't inform the board.
because I chose not to take action, but I did notify him and say, hey, but I chose not to take legal action because it would have cost us money. So I
But
let it be.
My point is that this board is uninformed.
No, I
You're
think,
informed.
I think this board is informed. I just chose not to take action on it because I didn't want to hurt the district.
Well, Ms. Scott, would you like us to take a few minutes while you read the one page? We can do that.
I would like to add this and have a special meeting on this alone. That's what I would like.
we can't.
We have until December 20th, Ms. Thompson just said.
Has to be at a regular board meeting.
Has to be a regular board meeting, according to his contract.
So if Mr. Abdullah knew this in the summertime, why wouldn't we have done it previous to December?
Because it's all,
Not due till December.
you do the, it says on section 9 of my contract is the board shall take action on the extension of the superintendent's contract. So in December, you're supposed to take action on official action. You actually have to take a vote on my extension. If you don't, then you breach my contract. And so my legal remedies would be to take legal action against the district, which would hurt the district. So I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. Do I think about myself and hurt the district, or do I let things just go? And so I chose just to let things go. And so here we are again. But at one point, you can't just continue to let things go, Ms. Scott. You have to honor a contract.
You're right. I would have liked to have this been brought to the board in October or November at the regular board meeting. I would have liked to have had days to look over the contract, whether it be one page or not.
It's not a
Whether it
contract.
be-
One page.
Mr. President,
Whether, can I
Mrs.
finish?
Thompson,
May
you
I
have the
finish?
floor.
May I finish what I was going to say to Mr. Abdullah? I would have liked to have had the time to look at the addendum of this. I would have liked to have this have been done prior to a few days, and no regular board meeting was going to happen, is my point.
Mr. President,
Mrs. Thompson, go ahead.
can I just point out that we're not changing his contract. We're not giving him a raise. Everything that was put in his contract stays. All this is an extension of his contract.
Correct.
Mr. President,
Mr. Pittman.
would Mr. Abdullahat have an issue with reading section 9 of his contract?
I'll be happy to read it.
Got to ask-
Out loud.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna read it.
What purpose would it be to read it? No.
I'm looking for it right now.
One question, Mr. Abdullah, would this change your evaluation date for next year?
No, nothing is changing in this contract. My
So
salary is
could-
staying the same, the
Could we-
benefits stays the same. The,
Could we change your evaluation date? As I emailed you, could we change
you
it? to whether
cannot,
we-
you cannot bargain with me in public. It's against the law.
Okay.
You would have to
Okay,
bargain with
understand.
me in closed session.
Understandable. Understandable.
Yep.
You gonna read that section 9, Mr.
I'm
Abdullahat?
looking at it.
Oh, I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Pitt.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. Okay, section 9 states, the superintendent shall be evaluated in December regular board meeting of each year during the terms of this agreement. Failure to take action within the indicated timeline shall result in a highly effective rating. The current evaluation instrument approved by the Board of Education is one developed by the law firm Collins and Blaha. Upon completion of the formal evaluation, the board shall consider a one-year renewal or extension and take formal action on the agenda. Now, part of that, if you think about that, if the board takes no action, I get a highly effective, but I've been pursuing this board to give me a rating and to get feedback. I wasn't trying to hide anything. I wanted the feedback. And so failure for the board to take action would automatically give me a highly effective, yet I didn't choose to follow that. I chose to pursue that and get feedback from this board so I could improve.
When does that contract end?
2020, June 30th, 2022.
And what is the amendment that we're voting on?
25.
So it says that section 9 didn't say 1 year?
Yeah, but you breached last year's, and 1 year is just the minimum. You could negotiate with me longer, period.
We can, yeah, but so I just so everyone knows, we don't have to do 3 years.
Right, we don't. You're right.
But we choose
So
to
we owe
retain
him
our
2 years.
superintendent. We choose
Already.
to retain our superintendent over him interviewing somewhere else. Again, so.
Is there, if I could, maybe someone knows, is there I think there's a limit on how long of a contract you can have with the
It's
superintendent.
5 years.
5
and we're
years.
well below that threshold, Mr. Pittman.
Okay,
5 years. All right, any other discussion?
I feel that the 3-year, the extension we're giving him, I feel like we want to keep him on board. He's done an exceptional job. I don't want to lose him to another district. That's my personal opinion.
well,
I agree with that. The superintendent shortage. We would be worse off if we left, definitely.
Mr. President, if I may, this does not stop him from leaving.
I don't want to leave.
I know, but it doesn't
Does
stop
not.
you.
It doesn't stop, but 2025 allows me to end my
it
career
certainly
here
helps.
and retire from here. I would like to retire from Madison District and then work at Home Depot after I retire. So at 2025 will give me 30 years, would give me 30 years in the public school sector, and I would like to retire from Madison District Public Schools.
Would you like to buy
All right.
some years?
I bought 5 years in 2001.
I'm just.
No, I mean, no, literally when you first start teaching, they don't do that anymore. You were allowed to purchase universal years.
Mhm.
In 2002, I purchased 5 universal years towards my retirement. So yes, although I won't have 30 years, you know, physically working, I will have my 25 years working. I started in 01, Mr. Pittman.
All right, anybody
So
else?
this just gives you the ability to retire in 25. That doesn't mean that you are going to retire in 25.
Miss Ott, have you seen all the gray hair I've acquired over the last 2 years? Okay, I've acquired a lot of gray hairs, and I would like to retire while I have my sanity intact. So,
Well,
Too late.
if anything, it shows our commitment to the superintendent and that he's wanted here. That's simple. At least that's my opinion.
I agree.
Now, is there anybody else, or do we do a vote? Nope. Okay, Sarah, roll call vote.
Mrs. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Pittman,
No.
Mr. Holcomb,
Yes.
Ms. Scott,
I'm going to vote no because I am uninformed and did not get the contract in time before the meeting. I vote no.
Mr. Kimball,
Yes.
Ms. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Ott.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-2.
All right, now we're on item 7. Mr. Abdullahi.
I'd like to withdraw item 7 from the agenda, Mr. Kimball.
All right. And that leaves us with officer committee reports. Do we have any? I don't think we do. No? All right, let's go to board comments then. Let's start with Ms. Scott. Go ahead.
Of course. Thank you, Mr. Kimball. I'm always first. I love it. Thank you. Okay. I apologize to our community that this board wasn't completely and always transparent, didn't always follow board policies and bylaws, didn't respect our students and parents. I'm sorry that this board blamed the past board on our own bad practices. I apologize to our community that this board did not provide the superintendent the goals and visions that this district deserves. I'm sorry for every email or phone call that may have been missed and or didn't give a response to what you were looking for, your questions or concerns. I want to thank board member Mr. Pittman for serving as a Board of Education member for 9 years, for being a softball coach to kids, volunteering of his time at several events, and donating his own Board of Education money to the PTO for our students. Thank you to you and your family, Mr. Pittman, for your commitment and the love for the students and this community. Bill, I want you to know that we, the parents, students, and staff will miss you greatly. Thank you for always standing up for the community's civil rights and mine. I appreciate it. Thank you for all of your service. Remember, once an eagle, always an eagle. To the parents, students, and staff, I know 2020 has been extremely rough. Thank you for that, all you have continued to do and are still doing. Happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go with Mr. Holcomb. Go ahead.
Angel, congratulations. I'm happy that you're going to be here. You're doing a great job. Barb, I'm going to miss you. You're solid. Mark, thank you for bringing things to the head. And Bill, thank you for your devotion to the students and the people in the city. And thank the parents for being here today. And I guess that's about all.
All right, thank you. Ms. Castle, go ahead.
I just want to thank everybody that participated in our meeting, that came to our meeting tonight, I should say. We have like 49 or 50 people that came to our meeting tonight and sat for an hour and a half while we went into closed session. I appreciate you still hanging in there. I want to personally thank Mr. Beaver and Mr. Smith for coming to the podium. It's never easy to come and tell us good or bad about what's on your mind, but it's always appreciated. I can't say enough about our superintendent and his staff. These have been really trying times, and thank you for everything you've done for this district. We wouldn't be where we were without you guys, the teachers, everybody. that is a part of this, and you know who you are. You know who you are. And it was an honor to serve on this board. I'm going to miss everybody that I've worked with. I know we didn't always see eye to eye on everything. I wish we could have. I wish we could have been more cohesive. And I want to thank Bill Pittman and Mr. Mark Kimball for their service on this board. You guys have been on the board a long time, both of you, and you've taken a lot and you've given a lot back. So thank you all very much. And I wish you all continued safety, and please stay away from the virus if you can avoid it, and keep your families safe, and happy holidays. And I hope next year's better for everybody. Thank you.
Mrs. Thompson.
Hi. First of all, I want to congratulate Edwina for getting your contract approved. Mr. Abdulahad, getting your contract approved. I want to tell everybody have a happy holiday. I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving, but I want everybody to stay safe from COVID. I would like to share that I have enjoyed working with this board. Ms. Castle, we're sure going to miss your input. She's worked very hard with me as treasurer, and so has Mrs. Ott. And Mrs. Ott and I are going to move forward as we continued to do all along. Mr. Kimball, we're going to miss you. Mr. Pittman, we're going to miss you. But most of all, we want to move forward and get this district back in order. It was a mess when we got here, and we're doing our best to pull it out. Happy holidays, everybody. That's all.
Mrs. Ott.
Okay, I just want to thank the teachers and the staff, as Mr. Beaver said, for helping the students thrive during this terrible time. Kudos to Jamie and for bringing the CARES program to the staff and their dependents, and for Kat for obtaining and being awarded the grant for the food service. And we are truly blessed to have Mr. Abdulahad and Dr. Hill in our midst. And I'm glad that contracts were renewed, extended, whatever. And just for everyone to be safe. To the outgoing board members, thank you for your service. And just happy holidays to everybody. Stay safe.
All right, that leaves me last.
I'll go first, Mark.
Oh, go ahead, Bill. I'm sorry.
Unless
your picture's not on my screen, so.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Right. So being that this is my last of many regular board meetings through the years and special meetings, probably the last time that I'll have the opportunity to address everyone. And I probably should have written something down. And, they say that, I guess the song is, breaking up is hard to do. This isn't hard. It's time. I don't agree with a lot of things that are going on, and I don't have to agree with anything that's going on really anymore. I know we've had a lot of good times through these years. We've had some bad times, and somehow Madison District has always found a way to crawl out of those bad times. And it really is time for me to just move on. I have a peace of mind that I fought for the kids. I fought for the staff. I fought with the board. But it really is, it's time. And I really have no bad feelings. I know I have a couple obligations still to the district for the rest of the month here, and I will still be me through this month. But after this, after the end of the year, I'm done. My affiliation with Madison District is done. I won't step foot in the buildings again. I'm done. I've been in part of the Madison District, believe it or not, since 1967. That's 53 years, and I'm done. I hope the district pulls through all this and gets back to where they can be but they're gonna have to do it without Bill Pittman. The public has spoken. They don't want me. I'll go. And Mr. Smith can go crack his bubbly because Bill Pittman is moving on. That's it.
All right, last but not least, I would certainly like to thank Mr. Smith and especially Mr. Beaver for the positive input. It's very important that we hear that. I would like to thank the staff, the teachers, especially pleased that Edwina is staying and has a longer contract. And I thank all the other board members for their service and for stepping up. And I certainly want to thank Mr. Abdullahad, because without him, I think this district would have been closed already. And he has the heart and puts in 110% to this district. And I'm going to miss working with him. Like Mr. Pittman said, I've got other endeavors and frankly need a break from this. So that's all I got to say. Everyone stay safe, COVID, and happy holidays. And that's it. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
Mr. President, I'll make that motion.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Ott. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, Mr. Holcomb, any discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Holcomb,
Yes.
Mr. Pittman,
Yes.
Ms. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ott,
Yes.
Mr. Kimball.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Merry
Meeting is
Christmas,
adjourned.
everyone.
Our next meeting is the 14th, Mr.
December 14th.
Okay.
Okay, meeting adjourned.